Reds broadcaster and human dipwad Tom Brenneman was caught in a hot mic moment before the end of a commercial break during the Reds-Royals game. I think it was yesterday, where he used a homophobic slur to – I think he was talking about Kansas City as a whole.
Yeah.
It was a hot mic moment, and it came out later during the game that he had said it on air, and he did an on-air apology. And as he's apologizing on air, there's a home run hit by the Reds, and it lands in the left field bleachers.
So good.
And above, just above the bleachers, there's a sign that says "Judgment-Free Zone" as he's apologizing. Yeah.
Unreal.
This is a bad look. The Reds apologized. Reds pitcher Amir Garrett tweeted about it. It's not great. Ben, you're an expert in prejudice. Is this just is the removal of Tom Brenneman from this role? Is this just cancel culture, or does he deserve it?
Man, I mean, let me first say that this is a really bad look for baseball. Baseball already has a reputation, as we've talked about some, as being basically stodgy old white dudes. This doesn't help them to have broadcasters saying shit like this on the air. Bad look. To your question, this is tough, man. I fumble with this all the time, right? Like, people are allowed to make mistakes. And we've talked about that on our pod about Drew Brees. People are allowed to make mistakes. I think the best outcome would be to use this as a learning, teaching tool. You said I'm an expert in prejudice. There's a lot of research that shows that people can indeed overcome their prejudices and their biases. We are, as humans, natural bias makers, natural prejudice makers. We've talked about that. So there are ways to overcome this, right? And it's not as simple as like some shitty online, anti-prejudice training. It's like interacting, giving back to the community, interacting with people who have had experiences, educating yourself about the experiences of the LGBTQ plus community. Like, that's important, man. And especially right now with all the other stuff that's happening in the country, it will be exceptionally important for Tom Brenneman, for anybody who's in this position, to confront their biases, to educate themselves, to have interactions with people who are part of that community, and other people who've made mistakes, right? Again, we all make mistakes. We slip up. Maybe he was intending to say something harmful. Maybe he wasn't. Either way, that word is harmful to people, and he has to get a better understanding of that.
Yeah. Quickly, there was no doubt about it. Like, he really emphasized it too when he said it. He really said it in, I think, a pretty hurtful way. It wasn't as if he slipped up or made like a crude joke or something. Like, it was pretty hurtful.
It was.
I have the same notes here as you. Like, I think he should take some time off. I'm not the Reds organization to decide how long that should be, but take some time off to educate yourself on the rampant discrimination that the LGBTQ community has faced. And meet with advocates and sympathize and come back a better person. And what a great story that would be, right? If he takes time to go learn about this and listen and change himself and come back and maybe get your job back. Otherwise it's sad. It's sad. I don't want to get too much into this, but you're right. It's not a good look for baseball. It's really sort of, I think, scuffling. Every sport has its challenges, but I think certainly,
of course, but baseball is just so stodgy in some ways. And like you and I were going back and forth this week about the unwritten rule thing. And I think that plays into the whole deal. Like Manny Machado, other guys who are, or Tim Anderson, guys who are just flouting these so-called like unwritten rules. Like, the pushback that they get from the old stodgy white dudes in baseball are the same people who are saying shit like this on the air. And like, that's just, it's a bad look for the game, man. It's anti-progressive. It's anti what baseball needs to be right now in order to stay afloat, in order to gain more fans, and to be on a level with the NBA and the NFL, which it's not. And that's a shame, because we are both huge baseball people.
Yep. Hopefully brighter days ahead for baseball as a whole, especially post-COVID.